Hey everyone, today is Wednesday, August 4th. The time is 6:52 p.m. and the temperature is around 24 degrees Celsius. And I'm here at Center Island, which is one of 15 islands that make up the Toronto Islands. And today I'll be going for a bike ride around the island with a special guest. Here is CJ Hoyle. CJ is another Toronto-based YouTuber, and we'll talk a lot about the different types of videos you can find on his channel. And we just recorded a ride together around the western half of the Toronto Islands. So if you're interested in seeing that and learning more about that part of the islands, be sure to check out CJ's channel. There will be a link to that in the description. So this will be part 2 of that ride. So we're about to hop on our bikes and set off. And you might notice CJ has a rather interesting bicycle. What kind of bike is that, CJ?
It's made by a company that currently resides in upstate New York called Linear, and then the model is Limo. It's a type of recumbent bike. So from here at the Center Island Ferry, I guess we'll head over to Middle Island and we'll tour there a little bit.
Sounds good to me.
It's got a little bit of a hill to climb. Probably harder on your single speed than on my bike with all these gears.
You've got a cheat code with you. So for this one, I'll be leaning on CJ's local knowledge of the islands quite heavily, as I'm not anywhere near as familiar with them as he is.
And I'm only familiar with them because Toronto Islands is one of my favorite places in the city, and I've spent a lot of time here, and I like to learn history, and so I know a fair bit, but I'm certainly no expert.
All right, I'm just gonna take a quick peek. Here is the Centerville Amusement Park. There's some rides. And for my viewers who might not be familiar, why don't you tell us what kind of videos you have on your channel?
Oh, it's kind of a mixture. I certainly do a lot of narrated cycling videos like you're seeing right now. Essentially my YouTube channel just sort of evolves around what my other hobbies are, which change over time. So cycling has always been a big hobby for me. So not just riding in the city, but I've also done a fair number of bicycle tours around Ontario, and I've made kind of more like vlog style videos about those, which were a pretty fun way to look back and remember those trips.
I remember you went on a rather lengthy kayaking excursion that involved some overnight camping and
canoeing. Yeah, I did well, basically 2 weeks on the Trent Severn Waterway near the end of last summer.
And you had to get a lock pass.
Yeah, I got to go through more than 40 locks with the canoe, which was pretty fun, pretty neat. The Trent Severn Waterway is a National Historic Site, so there's a lot of really old historical things there. Got a nice view of the Toronto skyline over there to the right, so let's head over that way.
That's where the Center Island Ferry departs.
And actually you can see it coming into view, one of the 2 older ones. Either William Inglis or Thomas Rennie, I think.
So we took the Hanlan's ferry over. But there's also a third ferry that goes to Ward's Island, correct?
That's right, and we'll be heading over that way after we've toured Middle Island here and maybe a couple other islands before it. So from Middle Island, we're going to cross this bridge here, which will take us to another island, which is called Olympic Island. And actually, you can see it says no exit. So we'll actually be coming back across this same bridge. Usually there are 2 different bridges to get here, but right now, because of Center Island being open, Centerville being open right now, the amusement park that we rode past, you can't ride your bike through it. You have to have a pass to be in the amusement park right now, I guess.
Well, we found all the geese. And in your previous video, you said there was around 600 residents of these islands?
Well, don't quote me on that, but a number like that. There used to be way more than that, I think more than 2,000. The island used to be completely covered from end to end with houses and hotels and bowling alleys and all kinds of things like that.
Someone's GoPro just...
That was mine. I think I'm not recording, so we're recording from you right now, so not to worry.
All right. I do have batteries if you need one. And I thought they were only settled as a temporary measure after the Second War.
Yeah, there was a housing shortage, so they decided to sort of open it up as places for people to live, but you never actually owned your own lot here on the island. It was always a lease. And around the time that they built the Gardiner Expressway, they had to get rid of a lot of parkland in the city of Toronto along the waterfront. And they decided, well, why don't we just, take these leased properties and stop leasing them, and we'll turn the island into a park. And that basically meant demolishing a lot of homes when the leases expired, but it was kind of a gradual process. And the residents who were kind of at the end of that list, they fought back and they ultimately earned the right to continue staying here. So that's why part of the island still has homes where much of it no longer does. So here's the other bridge over from Olympic Island back to Middle Island, but we'll take a right here and we'll loop back around.
There's the swan boat ride.
Can rent paddle boats there, I guess. I've never done it.
Swan boats.
Oh.
So I think the amusement park reopened last month.
We've got some picnic tables in our way. Do you want to ride on the grass or head back where
I can handle it, can you?
I can, yep.
A little bit of off-roading.
Relatively smooth grass at least. Just watch out for obstacles left by the Canadian geese.
And I think this is the largest vehicle-less community in North America.
Yeah, that's what they say, car-free. The island homes don't have driveways and the roads aren't really for private vehicles. It's only, service vehicles, garbage trucks and whatnot.
Sorry, I was just sneaking a view of the,
the
CN Tower. You don't have to
show the viewers all that you get to see here. It's a great place to come. I highly recommend coming over to the island. It's an $8.50 ticket to come over here, round trip.
It's funny you say that. I haven't been here in several years, and yet I'm coming back tomorrow. I had made independent plans of this to come here with a friend, and I'll be bringing my other camera, so I'll be doing a walking video while I'm here. Although I don't think I'll be live streaming.
And why is that?
I just tested the Rogers 5G connection, and it was pretty much dial-up speeds. I'm doubting Bell will have better luck, but...
All right, up and over this steep bridge again. And we'll head back over towards Center Island where we started the video, and then we can explore more down towards the west end of the island, the east end of the island. We've already been to the west end in our previous video together.
Where we went by the spot where Babe Ruth hit his first professional home run. As a baseball fan growing up, that was always the one tidbit that always fascinated me about these islands.
And the home run went so far, it landed in the Lake Ontario. So again, we've got a dead end because of Centerville, but we'll do some grass riding again, I guess. Something that's easy to do this time of year, but would be harder to do when it's covered in snow or in the spring when it's all soggy. Have you ever been here any other time of the year other than summer?
Late fall once, and there was a limited ferry schedule. I remember waiting at Hanlon's Point for a ferry that wasn't coming despite a posting saying that it was due. That was fun. We ended up calling 311 and they told us that there should be a ferry coming. So there was a large group of people that en masse bailed, and we all walked over to the Center Island ferry terminal. And they looked at us kind of cross-eyed, like, why would you expect there to have been a ferry over there?
I think there's 3 different schedules. There's like a reduced one in the fall, and then there's the winter schedule, and it only goes towards Island, and that's because that's where all the homes are at that end. One year I decided to make it my mission to come here during every calendar month in a 12-month period, so I could see it in all the different times of the year.
So you caught it in the snow?
I saw it in the snow. I came here actually quite a few times that winter. When I came over in December, it was a little bit snowy, but not a whole lot of snow, and I was telling this guy that I met on the ferry who was an islander who lived on the island. He said, oh, you know, I was saying, oh, I was probably going to bring my cross-country skis with me when I come here in the winter. And he said, oh, you should bring your skates instead. And I said, oh, my skates? And he said, yeah, you can skate on the lagoons. And I went, oh, really? And yeah, so here in the winter, you got to have the right conditions, and there's only a couple of days of the year typically where you can do it. And some winters you can't do it, but the lagoons freeze all up and you can skate. You know, most of the water that you'll see in this video, you'd be able to skate along.
Do you know how deep it gets?
In the lagoons, it's pretty shallow.
So you're not in any real danger.
No, and you do it with a group, usually, you know. And there's, you know, certain safety measures that you can take, like bringing ice picks, which are these things that you keep around your neck, which basically is like kind of a handle with a metal spike in the end of it. And that way, if you fall in the water, you can use those spikes to claw yourself back out of the ice hole. And I made a homemade set myself with a piece of dowel and some cut off nails.
Why am I not surprised to hear that you fastened something yourself? CJ is remarkably handy. If you subscribe to his channel, you'll see some very creative videos popping up on how to solve various problems.
So this spot here on the left is a place where you can rent boats, or really paddle craft like kayaks and canoes. It's a great place to come. You can paddle all through those same lagoons that I was describing, that you could skate along. And there's a lot of really nice sheltered water in between the different islands. Let's stay to the left, I think. We can go over towards the old church.
There's like an alpine system.
Yeah, a chairlift that goes, it's part of Centerville, I think. There's also another attraction over there. I guess it's separate from Centerville, but it's in the same area, called Far Enough Farm. And it's like a petting zoo for kids, farm animals that live here on the island. So straight ahead, that's the old church for the islanders here. It was built, I think, in the 1890s. It wasn't built in this location. It was built somewhere over on the other shore, on the Lake Ontario side.
1884, St. Andrew by the lake.
And when they moved it here, they had to cut it in half to be able to move it. I mean, churches are not a thing that you typically move, I don't think. I guess that one's mostly made out of wood, so
yeah, it's a wood frame.
More doable. Let's just, as we come around here, let's just take a look to the right here and notice how you can see these trees are sort of lined up in sort of a row, and you can kind of see through it. And the reason it's like that is because that used to be one of the streets where people lived. So there was houses built all along there, and the trees are still in that formation.
And now it's frisbee golf.
And that's the disc golf, yes. So there's a full course here, and the disc golfers are very enthusiastic and really into their sport. When I was here skating in February, they were here with bare hands throwing frisbees at targets.
I remember seeing another disc golf course in one of your videos through Sunnybrook.
Yeah, there's one in the Don Valley. There's also one on in the west, along the west Martin Goodman Trail.
Yep, I've seen that one towards Humber Bay. It's kind of silly, of all the things they said we can't do, that was one of them.
Yeah, they closed those just like the playgrounds in the pandemic.
We were actually going to do one of these collaborations much earlier than this, but then things got worse. And as
stay-at-home order,
we were only supposed to meet members of the same household. Well, as I live alone, I was entitled to meet one other person, but no insult to CJ.
Well, I'm also a single house occupant person or single home, and yeah, I had other folks that I chose.
They didn't say we couldn't cancel one and meet a new one, and then cancel them again. There was
Yeah, it's not
wondered,
a lifetime contract.
Nope, you chose your person. You are stuck. I wonder how many people come out to the islands and never explore this part because they're on foot.
Yeah, it's a pretty big area.
This is quite a trek if you're walking, right?
Yeah, I think it's more than 5 kilometers from end to end.
I'm always amazed when I'm at Tommy Thompson and I see people all the way at the edge of the park who are there on foot.
Yeah.
Because it's quite a trek just to get to that park.
Yeah.
'Cause it's
Yeah, that too.
so far down in the spit.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm not mistaken, we're heading towards the Portlands, right?
Yes, that's right. And did you know that this land here once used to be connected with the lands that are now the Portlands?
Well, I do now.
The Toronto Islands originally were not islands, they were a peninsula, and a big storm in I think it was the 1850s, came through and washed a big hole in between them and turned it into an island, and they tried to rebuild it and restore it back to the way it was, and then a couple of years later the same thing happened again, and they just said, whatever. And they kept it as islands, and yeah, there's no way to get here other than by some kind of watercraft, with the exception of the island airport, which there is an underground or underwater tunnel that connects to the terminal, but the terminal is very much...
Can we pull in here for a second?
Yeah, this is Sunfish Cut. Terminal is very much self-contained, and you can't get any further from there.
I just see a spectacular view.
This is a very common place for people to come to take selfies, and I'm sure when the sun is a little bit lower, it's even better. The island on the left is Snake Island, and the island on the right is called Algonquin Island. It's one of the 2 parts of the island that has people living on it, where houses are. That island used to be called Sunfish Island. That's why this is called Sunfish Cut.
I feel like I'm getting a personalized tour.
Just let me know if I'm talking too much.
Oh no, I'm sure my viewers appreciate it. They watch my videos, it's just me complaining about people riding their bikes on the sidewalk for 30 minutes. This is a nice, refreshing change.
There's really a different pace of life over here on the island. You know, you feel like you've really gone far away from the hustle and bustle. It's just, people are relaxed, and
it's got more of a Muskoka's vibe to it.
It does, especially when we get to the houses. You'll see that they're built much like what you'd see, at an old cottage built, close to 100 years ago. A lot of the houses are that old, and you really get that. And they're very, they were kind of just thrown together as cottages originally, even though they're permanent homes now, but they feel like cottages.
It can be harder to find that in cottage country these days because that whole area is kind of turning into the bridle path.
I know, yeah. So this is the fire station for the island, which in addition to fire, there's also an ambulance that's here. So emergency services for the 600 or so people that live over here, as well as all the many thousands that would be here on a summer day like this.
And I would assume the orange helicopter would serve the island in an emergency.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I think you'd be in You could be in big trouble if your ambulance had to wait for a ferry.
Well, if they just connect it to the Portlands through a little bridge, that issue goes away.
But do you think if they did that, would the islands still feel like the islands? That's what I always ask myself.
Well, that area is being completely redeveloped.
That's true.
There's going to be a very large population base there soon.
That's true, yeah.
So I'm guessing what we have here would slowly start to erode away in time, and it would take on a new character, for better or for worse.
We'll have to wait and see. So do you want to go across to Algonquin Island?
Sure thing. Follow the leader.
All right. Got another bridge to go over. This is an old wooden bridge.
I better get a bit of a head of steam.
And they sell to...
And over on Algonquin Island is where one of the 3 yacht clubs that are over here on the island are. This is the Queen City Yacht Club. Earlier in the video, we passed the Royal Canadian Yacht Club, RCYC, and you may have seen it briefly in the part 1 video that we did, which is the Island Yacht Club, which is over on an island called Mug Island, pretty close to Halen's Point.
So all of these homes are still here on a lease?
They are, yeah. It's like a 100-year lease sort of thing.
And I think there's a waiting list.
There is, yep. And the way that it works is the current owners of it are allowed to sell or pass their property over to a spouse or a child.
It's a neat bike, not too unlike yours.
You see a lot of interesting contraptions like that. The Islanders are very
handy and creative.
They make very good use of human-powered things for being able to service their family needs without motor vehicles. Everything that gets here comes across on the ferry virtually and comes across in some kind of a cart or a trailer or something behind a bike or on a bike.
I wonder how many of these are treated more as cottages.
Well, actually, as part of the rules is to be able to keep your lease, you have to be here, a certain number of days in the year legally. And of course, it has to be your permanent address for all your documents and everything.
Are we going left?
I think we'll go this way, yeah. I mean, this island is, what you've just saw is what this island is. There's just house after house after house built in a grid like that.
I'm just gonna snap a quick picture here.
Yeah, sure.
That is a rather neat look. Of course, now with Instagram, we got to do a horizontal and a vertical.
I know you're not a fan of vertical, just a
Vertical video drives me nuts.
Just like me. What do you think of YouTube Shorts?
I'm not dabbling in them, and I haven't actually seen anyone have much luck with them. They push this idea. It's their version of TikTok.
It is, yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
But I haven't really seen any gain traction in a meaningful way that would make it worth exploring. Have you?
Well, I mean, some YouTubers that I follow have done them, and you look at them, and those seem to have way more views than any of their other videos. So it seems like it's bringing in people.
The short attention span people?
Yeah. Want to go this way or
Sure.
keep going, or doesn't really matter?
Whoop. I guess I'm a Gen Xer. I'm pretty old-fashioned. I don't do Facebook. I don't do Twitter. I have my YouTube channel and I have Instagram just because it's kind of a visual complement.
Sure, yeah.
How about you? Are you into?
Well, I'm on a little bit of everything. I do have a Instagram, and I'm on Twitter.
Do you have TikTok?
I don't have TikTok.
Snapchat?
No Snapchat.
Tumblr?
No.
I'm just naming things I don't even know what they are now.
They're just words.
So normally when you see a box like this, you think it's one of those little lending libraries.
Yeah,
But
they
here
have.
It's an art gallery.
Yeah. Well, they also have like the country style mailboxes for the houses too, right? They get mail delivery here, so you don't have to go to a super box.
That's obviously grandfathered in.
Mm-hmm. And so kind of how this lease system works is that you can sell it to your spouse or to your child, but if you don't have someone in your family that wants to actually buy it, then it goes out to this list of 500 people. And it's kind of the luck of the draw where you are on that list. And if your name comes up or they say this, do you want to buy this property for this value? You have the choice to say yes or no.
So where to now?
Back across the island, back to Center Island.
I think we've been going for a little under half an hour. So again, on CJ's channel, he does a bit more comprehensive tours around the city on his linear recumbent bicycle there. I mix that in, but my stuff is really kind of casual and observational. But CJ does a fantastic job.
Well, one thing that we really have in common is that we both, in most of our videos, we talk while we're doing the thing. We don't put music on a video usually,
Or just the ambient sounds. I found there's so many channels doing that. I thought, why just be another one of those? When I switched to talking and doing the narration.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's really what people are using it for, really, you know, like if they're just leaving it on in their TV when they're having a conversation with their family, I could see why how the ambient is good. But if they want to sit down and kind of feel like they can experience a neighborhood that they've never been to before, it's really nice to have, someone describing things and pointing things out.
It's a different experience. When I started working from home several years ago, that's how I discovered this genre. I'd put it on my big screen in the background, but they were non-narrated videos. So it wasn't distracting enough.
Yeah.
But it was something there. Sure. I could always just kind of look over when I needed to clear my head or take a little break.
Sure.
And there was something to indulge in. Whereas I found the narrated ones were a bit distracting. Oh, here's a postcard shot on the left. Oh, we're past it. But in terms of what I actually enjoyed making more were this style of video. And there was yourself doing them. And a few channels in New York. And now there's a lot of two-wheeled videos or channels that I think is kind of exciting. There's a couple of viewers that have started up e-scooter videos, which I'm curious to know your thoughts on electric scooters as an avid cyclist.
And a cycling advocate who advocates for bike lanes. My feeling is just that if you want to get, I think that having bike lanes is key. Having a safe place for people, safe infrastructure for people to be able to ride a bike is really key. And I think that you're not going to be able to build more of them if you keep compartmentalizing the audience of who can use it. You can use it if you have a speed limiter or whatever. I think if you just, open it up as big as possible, you can make as many lanes as possible. And as long as you make them wide enough, they can accommodate vehicles that are going different speeds.
And I find I can follow the rules of the road the same on one of those as I can on a bike.
Yeah, honestly, riding in bike lanes and seeing people on electric scooters, there are different, everyone's a little bit different, but you certainly see ones that are just like a bike. You wouldn't know it wasn't a bike unless you actually looked at what they were on. In terms of their behavior on the road, it's virtually the same.
Is this where we're finishing up?
Up to you, sure.
Do we know when the next ferry is?
Do you want to see more of the Wards Island houses, or?
Well, I want to grab a picture.
All right.
Actually, do we know when the next ferry is?
There's
That's not it there, is it?
No.
Shows what I know. I point to a random boat. Is that the ferry? It's up to you.
Let's go and see some more of the houses and see a little bit of Ward's Island.
If my battery conks out, I'll just swap it on
All
the
right.
fly. That's one thing. You use the Hero9 Black as well.
I
right?
do, yeah. Just since this winter, like I think March I got it.
You record in 4K 60 or 30?
30.
Have you pushed the limits of the battery yet?
I don't do long videos, so I mean my videos are not usually more than 20 minutes typically. So I've never really run out. And I only have one battery, so if I did, it would be problematic. Let's go this way. So Ward's Island is the other part of the island, or the other part of the Toronto Islands that has homes. It's about this, about the same number of homes. I think the lots here are a little bit smaller than on Algonquin Island, typically.
Well, our audio setup is a bit experimental for this. We are recording with multiple different audio sources, and I'm hoping to combine them.
Which is something I've never tried this sort of setup with two microphones in two different locations that are moving away and closer together. But
well, you can get a wireless module where it's two wireless microphones and they feed into a singular source. And I think that's how Action Kid New York records his collaborations.
okay, but the thing I'm thinking of is, sound is slow compared to light. The speed of sound is relatively slow. So if you're kind of further away,
There could be an echo.
there's an echo. And if you're closer, like you can sync them if you're a consistent distance apart.
Whereas it
then
might
it's
come
fine.
in and out as we go.
Right.
Well, we'll find out.
We've stayed. I don't know if we've gone far enough away from each other to really,
Well, the parts during
the-
your video, when I sort of pedaled ahead of you, just to sort of get in view, I
Yeah.
was not talking, right? So
That's true. Yep.
I was trying to be cognizant of that.
Good point.
But
Yep.
hey, if we got it wrong this one, we'll get it right the next one.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We'll have to do something like this again sometime.
Well, our original idea was to combine a walking video and a cycling video, not like a tandem style.
True, and that was mostly because of the pandemic, and we wouldn't be gathering. We would just be kind of. The idea was one of us would be riding or walking or whatever, and we'd run into the other one and say, "Oh, hey, look, it's so and so," and then you'd pass the baton, and the video would continue. So you get to see like a kind of a continuous motion, and it would be a way of sort of combining things together. I still think that would be fun to try doing. In fact, I have an idea that maybe I'll pitch to you right now. Now that I have a kayak, which I love using, I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could do like a 3-person collaboration, maybe with Ken or somebody else that you've collaborated or worked with before, and we could have somebody, walking or biking or something, and they'll go up to the water, and then they'll pass it to me in the water, and I'll paddle down the shore, and then I'll pass it over to somebody else
That could be
further
neat.
down. It could be over to the island too, Kayak can do what the ferry does.
We should have a fourth person just record the whole thing from that vantage point.
Coming along for it, yeah. Or a drone operator that could follow us.
You can even do a challenge, getting across the city through different modes of transportation.
It has been having.
So we're heading over towards the boardwalk, and I think we'll kind of cut off of it kind of fast. We're not sure how the bumpiness of the boardwalk will work for the video. I think I've probably done it before on my video, and I think it works okay, but I guess we'll see. So there's a few more houses here on what's called Ward's Island, and there's also the Ward's Island Beach over towards the left, kind of behind these this green stuff that's to our left.
And is that Tommy Thompson Park?
It is, yes.
Just north of here.
Yes.
And I just got a mouthful of bugs. Thank you.
Thanks. And so Ward's Island, it sounds like it's an island, but it's just the name of this end of the island is called Ward's Island. And it was named after a family who had a hotel here, and their last name was Ward. Oh, that's a tight fit.
Oh, this isn't so bad at all.
Yeah, it's a pretty smooth boardwalk.
So there's a look at Tommy Thompson. I'm trying to angle the camera that way.
It's a nice view from here, and
I have yet to go there this year.
I haven't been in a couple of months. I went a fair bit in the spring. I saw a fox there. There's a family of foxes that live near the end of the peninsula.
I'm looking forward to trying out those gravel trails that they have there on my next bike.
Yeah, that'd be a good place for that. So yeah, I made a video, I don't know, a couple months ago or relatively recently. I lose track of time, where I kayaked all the way around the islands, including right in those waters out there. That was a fun day. About 15 kilometers, I think.
And you stayed out of the boat lanes, I guess?
I mean, you avoid the boats. Stayed out of the airspace. There's at either end of the runway, there's parts of the water that you're not supposed to go in. No vessels are allowed in, so I definitely went around those. Maybe we'll go a little bit past. This is a cafe called the Riviere. It used to be called the Rectory Cafe, and that's because that was the rectory for that church that we saw earlier. The church used to sit here. Do you want to head out here or keep on going?
Sure. I mean, which do you?
Whatever you
I'm
want.
following the leader. It's my channel, my video, but your rules.
You think that it's smooth enough to ride on this?
Oh, it's time to swap the battery.
All right, that's a good place to.
And we're back. Sorry about that, guys. The battery on my trusty GoPro had finally run out of juice. I did record the ride before this with CJ, so I guess that was probably somewhere around an hour's worth of use. So we continue right from where we just left off.
Yeah, it's really pretty this time of night with the glow from the lake like that. We're in the shade here. Luckily your camera is kind of up high enough to see most of that, I think.
Yeah, I try to set the horizon level around halfway up the screen, although sometimes I bugger that up. And luckily the sun is shaded right now. Because with these little small sensored cameras, the last thing you want to do is point it directly at the sun.
Yeah.
What kind of action camera did you use before that? Did you have a Yi 4K Pro?
That's right, 4K Plus it was called. And it was their last action camera that they ever made, then they just switched over to making dash cameras.
I remember being kind of excited. I'm like, this...
It was the first action camera that did 4K 60, apparently, which I never used.
When I bought my first GoPro, I was looking, naturally trying to find something a bit cheaper, but just as good. And that was the one that kept coming up. And I was kind of excited to see what they came out with next. And that was it.
That was it. And for me personally, that camera worked. It did everything that I needed it to do when I had it mounted on a bike. Having it mounted in the place where I have it, like directly on my frame, it worked perfectly. But if I tried it on a chest mount or on a head mount or anything like that, the image stabilization was just not acceptable. It just was way too bumpy, way too wobbly.
Whereas the Hero9, it basically has alien technology.
It's, excuse me. Yeah, it's like night and day between the two.
And no, you're not hearing things. This boardwalk just got a whole lot more rickety. I think one of my favorite aspects of doing the YouTube thing is just playing with the different toys and setting things up differently.
Yeah, it can be fun. I think I'm less into that than you. I kind of just, you know, like the thing to work for me to focus on the subject matter.
Well, you've used the same audio recording setup for
That's true.
a while.
I've used this. Yeah, I mean, the very first narrated video I made was in 2013, and I'm still using the same voice recorder and the same earpiece microphone as back then. Of course,
Is that a finger from a glove you use as a
finger
muff?
from a glove over top of some foam rubber, and it's right beside my mouth. So the idea is that even if you're in crazy wind, at least your audio source, your mouth, is close enough for capturing it.
Especially when you're on a bike, that's your biggest concern, right, is the wind noise.
Absolutely.
So this will loop us back over to Center Island, I presume?
Yeah, I mean, technically we're actually still on what's called Center Island. The big island is called Center Island, but the middle of the Center Island is called Center Island also. So the nomenclature is kind of inconsistent, I guess. The Ward's Island is a part of Center Island. So is Hanlon's Point, so is Gibraltar Point. But yeah, we're heading back towards pretty close to where we started the video.
I'm sure someone will comment that we should have swung by the Nude Beach, but
I don't know what the YouTube terms of service would say about that.
I don't feel like spending an entire night blurring things out. Or getting the awkward looks from people as I wander through there with a camera in hand. I'm not even sure the legalities of that. It's a public space.
It is, yeah.
So if you call your video part 1, I'll have to call mine 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Well, we structured it this way because I typically do shorter videos than you do. So we thought we'd show more of the islands on your side than on my side.
Well, I appreciate it, and I'm sure my viewers do. And hopefully we'll have some crossover.
For sure, yeah.
When I did a collaboration with Ken last year, we each recorded the same video at the same time.
I saw that, yeah, I watched that one. And how did that work for crossover, did you guys find?
I think we have a similar audience. Most of the people that know one of our channels knows the other.
Yep.
So I'm not sure there was value in watching
The same thing twice?
one video over the other. And we're using the same equipment. We're both using the same camera.
Right.
My audio was a little different than his. And I went through my audio, and whenever, because we only used one microphone, or he used his mic, I used mine.
Yeah.
So whenever he spoke, I boosted his volume manually.
Oh, but that was
to
a
sort
fun,
of match mine.
fun
So that
edit.
was super tedious.
Yeah.
So hopefully this approach we're doing now works, and then in the future, if I do this again with you or someone else.
Yeah. We're using the same, Johnny has two of the same microphones, so I'm wearing one of his and he's wearing the other, and he's also lent me an old smartphone that he's repurposed as a voice recorder, which is microphones plugged into.
Long live the audio jack. It's always annoyed me that we've gotten away from including that on smartphones.
Yeah, I've still got a phone that has an audio jack, and it'll be hard to upgrade from it because I'll certainly miss it.
It's just better. Everything about it is better. The DAC is in the hardware, so you get better audio quality. When you think about it, it's in your pocket and it kind of jostles around a bit. Having a plug that can rotate is so much better than a fixed USB or lightning cable that can just snap off.
Plus, you can charge and you can listen to stuff at the same time and have stuff plugged in.
And you can still get Bluetooth if you want to. That option is still there.
Yeah.
Digital isn't always better than analog. Same goes for when the first digital TVs came out. They looked like hot garbage next to CRT TVs.
So do you want to end over at the fountain or at the end of the pier? Or
Let's go to the pier because we've seen the fountain.
we have.
And we've actually already been by the dock where the ferries are.
We have. Yeah. Which is where we'll be heading.
So
After that, we'll be looking at the ferry terminal or schedule and figuring out which one's coming next, and we'll ride to it probably. We'll just head out to the end of the pier here.
So we're just heading out to this pier here. And I'm about to end the video. So don't forget to head over to CJ Hoyle's channel. There will be a link to that in the description, and you can check out the first part of this video and numerous other videos.
Thank you very much, Johnny, for having me as a guest here. It's been an honor.
I feel like I owe you a beer or 5. Like, you have gone above and beyond. And I look forward to your next adventures.
You as well, and glad we finally got to do this. I think it was January that I first reached out to you about trying something like this, and well, 8 months later, we're doing it. Hopefully it won't be another 8 months before we can do it again.
Yeah, let's see how it goes, but I'm sure there'll be more of these in the cards. So again, don't forget to check out CJ's channel. There are links to my Instagram in the description. That's the only social media I use other than this. If you wish to support the channel, there's also a link to my Patreon in the description, as well as YouTube channel membership. And we'll just say goodbye to CJ. Thanks for a job well done.
Thanks for having me.
All right, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.